Welcome back to our Cael language series. Last week, we started working on the long writing section on the Cael test, and today we are going to continue from where we left off. Before we start writing the introductory paragraph to our essay, let's take a quick 5 minutes and review what it is we're working on. So when you begin part 4 on the Cael test, the first thing you're going to do is complete the long reading section. So you'll read a passage, will be about 9 paragraphs long, and you'll answer some questions about that. When you're finished, you'll move on to the long listening section. You'll hear an academic lecture, which will be around 5 minutes long, and you'll answer some more questions about what the speaker is talking about. When you've completed that, it's finally time to begin the long writing. So for this part of the test, you'll be given 35 minutes to write an essay. What you'll be asked to do is to use details from both the reading and the listening passages that you've just completed. You'll be using these details in order to write the essay itself. Remember that when you're writing your essay, please do not copy words and phrases from the source material. You'll impress the readers most by using your own vocabulary as you write. Now, there is a minimum word count, so you must achieve at least 250 words for this essay. There is a word counter right here on the screen, so that will let you know when you've reached that minimum requirement. You can go over, but you have to hit at least 250 words. And you're going to be scored on the accuracy of your content details, as well as how well you've structured the essay. So you need to understand how to write paragraphs and structure those correctly. And that's what we're going to start working on today. You're also going to be evaluated on the level of your vocabulary. Hopefully you've got a nice developed vocabulary with a wide range so that you're not repeating the same words over and over. And again, you're going to be scored partly on how well you use information from the source, from the reading and listening passages, in order to write this essay. So to review the material where you're going to draw information from, you can click on this reading passage tab right at the top of the screen. You'll pull up the exact same reading passage that you've already read through. So it should be familiar to you, but you can use the little scroll bar here in the center of the screen to navigate to the bottom of the page. So you can skim read quickly to pull details out that will answer your question. Likewise, you can click on the lecture notes tab that you see here, and the computer is going to offer you a summarized outline of the important details that were discussed in the lecture. So you can use this outline to jog your memory and to draw, again, details from that listening passage in order to answer your question. So quickly, let's review the question we're working on so we can begin typing out our introductory paragraph today. So the question itself says, should scientists go back and reanalyze established conclusions and facts, or should we spend time on new questions and new research instead? So you see, we've been given 2 different positions, and we're being asked to choose the one that we feel is the most important. The test instructions tell us to explain the position, build an argument, and provide support. So the first thing that we're going to do is select one of these positions in order to support throughout the entire essay. So we are going to write about how it's most important to go back and reanalyze the past, or we're going to talk about how it's more important to forge ahead into the future with new research. Once you've selected one position only, you're going to build your argument. So you're going to review the reading and listening passages, think back to that material, and come up with 2 main ideas, even 2 reasons why you feel that your position is true, why it's valid. Finally, you're going to find support. You're going to provide specific examples or details from both the reading and the listening passages. And that's what you're going to include in the middle part of your essay to prove your position is true. So last episode, we created an outline, which is what you see here. So we decided to focus on the first position, which is to reanalyze past theories and facts. And we came up with these 2 main reasons why we felt that was important. So main idea 1, we're going to talk about how sometimes historians in the past have personal biases, and that distorts the truth that they're sharing with us. And secondly, we're going to support how it's important to revise any mistakes from past theories in order to have a better understanding of the world in which we live. And you can see that we've chosen two specific details from the reading passage. We'll be talking about those in that first middle paragraph. And then we have two specific examples from the listening passage as well that will support our second body paragraph when we get there. So that fills us in on what we did last week. We're all ready to go now to start writing the essay itself. We're going to focus on the introductory paragraph in today's episode. So our question is at the top of the screen again, just to remind us about what we're writing about. We can see our position there as well, defined. So reanalyzing past theories and facts. This is the focus of the essay that we've chosen to write. So in order to get started with our introductory paragraph, it's a really nice idea to provide some background context, at least introduce the general topic that you'll be discussing throughout the entire piece. So this question centers around the idea of history. So we're going to introduce history as that general topic. And if we can state a couple of things about how history maybe teaches us about the world or informs our current perspectives and helps us make decisions, that will sort of transition into the position that we're taking. So when it comes time to type, first sentence again will be maybe establishing that background context. So something like this would work well. We can try, studying past historical events provides valuable lessons that teach us about the world and inform decisions that impact our modern ways of life. So this is not my position. I haven't even started to talk about how it's important to return to the past and reanalyze theories. What I'm trying to do is just again introduce the idea of history and show its importance to the world. So I'm going to add a second sentence now that's going to transition into my position. So I want to open the door for discussion about why it's important to return to past theories. So here's my next sentence. I'll say, as research methods and technology improve, we sometimes discover that past theories and facts that we once considered to be true are flawed. All right, so again, I haven't quite stated my position, but I'm getting very close. I've set the stage. So it would make sense now to come right out with my position in the next sentence. I'll say, for this reason, it is crucial that we reanalyze past conclusions and revise faulty ideas before forging ahead with new research. So this sentence that we've just added to the introduction, this is the most important sentence, I would say, in the entire essay. It's what tells your reader what the focus of your writing piece is going to be about. It's what we call the thesis statement. We have to establish which position we are supporting right in the beginning. Otherwise, the reader will be confused. Now, we're not quite ready to finish off. We want to add one more very important detail. Remember those two main ideas that we discussed in our outline? We're going to introduce those main ideas here in the opening. Once again, so the reader understands what he or she can expect to read about next as the essay continues. So our very last sentence here in this introduction will be, we must reveal biased viewpoints and correct inaccurate ideas to more clearly understand the world in which we live. And again, we took those ideas all from the outline that we created before we started writing. So writing out this paragraph didn't take all that much time because we had already generated the ideas as we drafted that outline. Now, before we leave off on this, I wanted to review the structure, I guess, that we used to write this introduction. You can apply this to most introductory paragraphs, I would say, that you could write for an essay. It's always very helpful to come up with the background context first. So the section in orange at the beginning of our paragraph does just that. Remember, we're introducing the idea of history and opening up the debate that sometimes mistakes in the past happen. So once we've done that, we come right out with our position. This is the green section. So we're telling the reader that it's more important to go back and reanalyze these past ideas then to correct any mistakes. And before we finish it, remember, we want to add our main ideas. And this is the blue section at the end. So here we introduce the two main reasons that will guide the two content areas of the middle section of our essay. So again, this is a structure that easily applies to most essays that you will write. Context, then position, and then your main ideas. Now, I wanted to draw attention to this position statement. Once again, it is one of the most important parts of your entire essay. You'll notice that I've underlined the last section of this sentence. And that's for a persuasive technique in a sense that we're going to talk about now. Here's our question again. We know that we were asked to pick one of these two positions. So do we focus on the past or do we forge ahead with the future? So looking at our position statement here in green, you'll notice that the first part of that clearly outlines the position we're taking. So it says, for this reason, it is crucial that we reanalyze past conclusions and revise faulty ideas. That idea is what we're going to support in the next couple of paragraphs. But you notice the underlined phrase that I've added there. It says, before forging ahead with new research. In that sense, we've tacked on a nod to the other side of the argument that we're actually not supporting. We're not going to focus on future research, but we've inserted this idea into our position statement in such a way as to demonstrate that it's much more important to go back and reanalyze the past. We have to do that and not worry so much at the moment about focusing on future research. So this technique is called answering the opposition. When you can draw into your own writing reasons why the other option is not desirable, you're actually going to add strength to your own position and your own argument. So that's what we've done here. We're not going to support this idea and talk at length about new research and why it's bad. That would be off topic. But by just adding in this half sentence here, this clause alongside our position statement, again, it just strengthens our argument that much more to say we have to do the past first before we look at the future. So that's why that's there. All right, before we leave off for today, I wanted to double check a couple of the elements that the raters are going to be looking for. So we know that one of the things that the raters will evaluate us on is our use of vocabulary. And the Cael test is academic, so our vocabulary hopefully will be fairly high level and demonstrate a range. So really quickly now, let's just skim read the work that we've done. If there are any words that we can improve, now is the time to do that. So looking at my first line, my eyes land here on this word teach. I think that's a pretty common word, and I'm going to revise it ever so slightly and just use the word educate. So these lessons educate us about the world. I feel that that's a little bit higher level, maybe a bit more academic. So I'll make that one quick revision. That does not take long at all. And as I keep reading, I like the vocabulary we've got there, but there's this one phrase right here. I find this a little bit wordy. It says, past theories and facts that we once considered to be true are flawed. I think we can revise that to be a little more concise. Let's try this. So the past theories and facts that were once widely accepted are flawed. I like that better. Again, it's less wordy, more concise, and it sounds a little more academic to me as well. And the last thing, as I keep skim reading my work here, this word in the final sentence, the word correct. Again, it's pretty common, it's pretty simple. Let's see if we can think of a higher level word that would mean the same thing. So let's try. We must reveal biased viewpoints and amend inaccurate ideas. I think that's better. It means the same thing. It just sounds a little bit more academic. All right, so at a quick glance, I'd say that we're satisfied maybe with the vocabulary, so we can move on to other things. Before we finish today, I do want to look quickly at the sentence structure as well. So again, Cael is an academic test, so we just want to make sure that the sentences we've used demonstrate complexity. So we want a variety of complex or compound sentences and some different structures. So very quickly, let's just use the laser pointer and have a look at what we've written. So our first sentence is fairly long, which is good, but long doesn't necessarily mean correct. Let's double check the structure. It looks like we have a compound sentence and we've added in a relative clause. So I think we've got enough structure there. I'd say that that one's okay. Starting my next sentence with this word as, this is a conjunction that sets me up for a complex sentence. So I like this next sentence. I think that's great. These two sentences are structured differently. So far I've got a variety. I'm starting this third sentence with a transition. So that's helpful, I guess, to organize the work. And looking at this sentence construction, I realize that and is a fairly common conjunction, but I've also used a different conjunction here in the same sentence. So by using two types of conjunctions in the same sentence, I've correctly created a compound complex sentence structure. And last but not least, in the end, I've got one final compound sentence. So I'm fairly happy with the variety of sentence structure that I've demonstrated. Even though I've used the word and a few times, I've also used other structures to create that variety. So I would say that our introductory paragraph is ready for that final draft. I don't think we need to make any further revisions to it at the moment anyway. Remember, in the Cael test, you've got 35 minutes only to write an entire essay. This essay that we're starting today is going to be 4 paragraphs long. So we can't afford to take 15 minutes just on the introduction. So I would say by the time you have finished creating your outline, that's maybe 4 minutes of your time there. It should take you maybe another 4 minutes or so to take those ideas from the outline and write them up in paragraph form as we've done here. So that leaves us lots of time to write those 2 middle paragraphs, which are really the important parts of this essay, because that's where all of the supporting details are going to be found. So let's quickly recap what we did here with the introductory paragraph. When you start your introduction, always use the details from that outline you've created. I mean, you took the time to write them out, so use them and put them into sentence form, and that will help speed up the time to finish that paragraph. Begin by providing that context, so introduce your topic. Remember, today's topic was about history, so we opened that conversation up in the first couple of sentences. And then we identified our position. And our position here is that reanalyzing the past theories is much more important than creating new research. We identified those 2 main reasons that we're going to talk about throughout the essay next. So our 2 main reasons, remember, were how some people have biased interpretations of history, and we need to correct those mistakes. And secondly, when we do correct those mistakes, we have a clearer understanding of the world around us. So those 2 main ideas were summarized and outlined in that opening paragraph. Now today, before we would move on to the body paragraphs, we did a quick proofread, and we made sure that our vocabulary and sentence structure were both academic and demonstrated a variety, because we're hoping to maximize our score then with the raters. All right, so we're going to end it there for today. Next week, we're going to continue writing this essay, starting with that first body paragraph that uses details from the reading passage. I'll see you then.